It's actually a quotation found in the book Creation, Catastrophe, and Redemption, page 112. This is a Roman Catholic scientist, theologian. This is what he said. The notion of the traditional view of redemption as reconciliation and ransom from the consequences of Adam's fall is nonsense for anyone who knows about the evolutionary background to human existence in the modern world. What is he saying? The idea of the traditional view that redemption means reconciliation and ransom from the consequences of Adam's fall, so this is nonsense for anyone who's a scientist these days. Because they believe that death existed long before sin. Frank Lewis Marsh, who was a Seventh-day Adventist scientist, wrote the following: if death and law of tooth and claw, that's the law of evolution, existed long before man, and if man evolved through these natural processes, then there could not have been a perfect Garden of Eden, nor a perfect Adam and Eve. Amen. Nor could there have been a real fall in which man became a subject to sin. If that is so, what is the theological meaning of Jesus' incarnation and atonement?
Yes, come on.
Paul connects the two.
Yes.
For as by one man's disobedience many were made sinners, so also by one man's obedience many will be made righteous. If there was no Garden of Eden with its tree of life, what is the future that Revelation 22 depicts for the redeemed? Powerful statement. So if we eliminate a literal beginning, and a literal fall, and a literal second coming, what is left for the Seventh-day Adventist Church? Nothing. Because we are Seventh-day Adventists. Seventh-day means we believe in a little creation, and Adventist means that we believe in a very rapid end, supernatural end, for God to create a new heavens and a new earth. The Roman Catholic Church, however, differs. The popes and the scholars of the Roman Catholic Church say, no, evolution was God's method that He used for things to come into existence. And it totally obliterates the theology not only of the Adventist Church, but Christian theology as well. Now, last night I was mentioning that the Roman Catholic Church celebrates Passion Week, Easter. How many times a year does the Roman Catholic Church celebrate Palm Sunday? Once a year. How many times a year do they celebrate Ash Wednesday? Once a year.
Yes.
How many times a year do they celebrate Good Friday?
Once.
But how many times a year do they celebrate Resurrection Sunday? Every week. Why? Because if you throw out the story of creation that says that the Sabbath is God's day of rest, it's very simple that the papacy can say Sunday is the day that we're supposed to keep now. You know, it's interesting that both popes, John Paul II and Francis I, referred to the Sabbath, the seventh-day Sabbath, as a relic from the Jewish Old Covenant. And you know what's interesting? The Roman Catholic Church is characterized by the Old Covenant. They offer sacrifices on altars, they wear holy vestments, they sprinkle holy water, they burn incense, they light candles, they make shrines to their saints. All Old Covenant. But the Sabbath, which is the fourth commandment, they say, Old Covenant.
Hypocrites.
They strain the gnat and swallow the camel. The simple fact is that Sunday cannot be God's rest day. Because that's not the day that God rested. Let me give you an example. My anniversary, wedding anniversary, I have 2 wedding anniversaries. Only one wife. say, how's that? Well, I had what we called the civil wedding, which was the legal wedding. We got married in Venezuela. You do that at the Justice of the Peace. That's the legal wedding. That was November 17. And then we had the religious church wedding on December 23. What would you think about me saying to my wife, dear, you know, we're caught in this rut of celebrating our anniversary every year on December 23. Why don't we decide to celebrate our anniversary on Christmas Day, December 25?
No way.
Do you think she would buy that?
No.
Why not? Because we didn't get married on December 25. Hello? You can't commemorate your wedding on a different day than when it took place.
Nonsense.
We keep the Sabbath because we commemorate the original event. And that event took place on the seventh day. So to say you need to do it, you need to rest on the first day, means that you're trying to change the date of the anniversary. But you can't, because historical events are rooted in history.
Okay.
Man can say, they can declare that, you know, we're going to observe it on such and such a day, but that doesn't make it the day.
Think.
Now let me talk a little bit about the final test. Talking about the papacy. You know, Francis I has emphasized in many different places the need for resting on Sunday as a day of worship. I've been keeping up with all of the articles and with things on YouTube, speeches, and so on. He emphasizes certain things. First of all, he emphasizes the need to care for the environment.
Yes.
He says we need to give the environment one day of rest. Sunday. He emphasizes the family. He says families are stressed out because all week they're running here, there, taking the kids to school, going to work. They don't have time to connect one with another. The family needs a day to recharge. The family batteries. Guess what day it is? Sunday. Then he says, you know, workers, they're so overworked. They're capitalist overlords. Make them work even on Sundays. Workers need a day of rest. I bet you can't guess what day it is. Sunday. He's pushing for Sunday. And as Adventists, we believe, folks, as Adventists, we believe that the final test will be the issue of Sabbath or Sunday. Now listen carefully. Behind the issue of Sabbath and Sunday is something deeper. The matter of authority.
Oh my God.
Yes.
If we keep the Sabbath, we are recognizing whose authority? God's authority, because He established the day. If I keep Sunday, whose authority am I recognizing? The authority of Little Horn that claims to establish Sunday as a day of worship. So the day of worship is only the way in which God tests us to see which authority we accept. That's why the first angel's message, with which we begin this evening, says, worship the one who created the heavens, the earth, the seas, and the fountains of waters. The third angel's message, in contrast, says, don't worship the beast.
Amen.
The first angel's message says, worship the Creator. The third angel's message says, don't worship the counterfeit.
Oh my Lord.
Now let me read you some statements from Roman Catholic writers. We've talked about the papacy. But now we want to talk about Protestants. What day do most Protestants keep?
Sunday.
Most Protestants keep Sunday too. Why? Because they found it in the Bible? No. Where did they inherit it from? They inherited it from the papacy. Listen carefully to what I'm going to say. The Protestant Reformation was a wonderful thing. Many of the lost truths from Scripture were recovered by the Protestant Reformers.
Yes.
But unfortunately, the Reformation was never finished. The Protestant churches still conserved some of the teachings of the Mother Church. Among those was Sunday as a day